patent and trademark national in DC. So they do a very good job there, I guess is what I'm saying.
No, the slide deck that you have, and you said the recording you'll be able to put like on YouTube that I can share.
Yes.
But will I be able to share the slide deck with everybody?
Yes,
Okay.
I will send that out. And anything that is clickable, like you'll be able to click on the links and be able to access that information. We also have passports and notaries. So here at Kirkwood, passports are a big part of our job. We are a passport facility. Webster Groves is a passport facility. St. Louis Public Library does passports as well. And everybody who comes here or goes to one of those libraries always says, this is so much better than the post office. No shade to the post office, but we usually have seating. And while you're waiting, you can pick up a book and your children can pick up books while they're waiting. And so we do, passports are big, a lot of business for libraries, but you can see I kind of outlined which libraries offer passports. Notaries too, we don't have a notary here, but a lot of libraries are starting to offer notary services as well. So if you are looking for a notary and you're running around crazy trying to find them, just know that there are libraries out there that are doing it. St. Louis County Library does that. So if you're ever looking for one, give them a call. The Oak, I know for a fact they have one at the Oak Bend branch, which is the closest one to here. We also have resources for keeping your skills sharp. So if you want to learn how to do something, we have online classes and we have programs here. One of the biggest tools that is available, we'll talk about in a minute, but it's LinkedIn Learning. And then we have technology checkouts and business reads and meeting room spaces. So when we're talking about pitch decks and strategy starters, there are a couple tools. So the Kauffman Foundation is an organization based out of Kansas City, and their sole purpose in life is to make life easier for small businesses. And they offer a lot of grant funding, so that's a good place to look if you're looking for money. But one of the things they offer is something called Fast Track. And it is a tool that allows you to input things for your business plan, which your business plan should be a living document, right? You should always be updating your business plan. You should have a business plan. Even if you are growing, you're going to change your business plan. So the Kauffman Foundation offers a tool that makes that very easy to navigate and to keep updated on a regular basis. So it's an online portal and it'll actually prompt you with questions on how to fill in the different sections, with what to put in different sections, and then it makes it really easy to export. When we're talking about pitch decks, Canva is a really great tool. I don't know how many people here have used Canva, but if you are not graphically inclined, it is a delightful tool. And I will show you Canva. So, okay. So this is Canva, and you can see I put the link so that when you get the slides, you can just click on that link and it's going to take you directly to pitch deck presentations. But you can see that they are giving you pitch decks that you can just update and customize with your information. So if you're pitching a customer or a funder, you can kind of see all the different ways that you can update. And Canva is awesome because then all you have to do is come in here and change the text, maybe throw in a couple other pictures that you want, and it's wonderful.
And so would those things be accessed through like the library's portal to be able to get to Kauffman?
So Kauffman, so these are actually, so one of the great things about libraries is, yeah, we want to promote our stuff, but we also promote tools that are just regularly available. And so both Kauffman and Canva, they're like, you can just log in and use them. And Kauffman does not spam you. I've had an account with the Fast Track for a really long time and I never get emails from them. So thumbs up on that. So yeah, so these two tools are just readily available. You don't have to have a library card. what if you wanted to do a SWOT analysis or check out what your competition is doing? So here at Kirkwood Public Library, we have a couple of really fun tools. One is called Statista, and it is exactly what it sounds like. It is statistics. And so basically that tool can, you can pull different statistics that are available in the area, but it also has company benchmarking tools. So if you're looking at different Fortune 500 companies or Fortune 1000 companies, you can get a lot of data from in there. So if you're looking to pitch them your business and work with them, it's a great way to see kind of what they're doing. IBIS World is also really good for figuring out some competition. IBIS World is industry reports, and they're really in-depth and really great. So not only is it really awesome for finding out what industry you want to go into and what the outlook is and what people are talking about, where this industry is going to be 5 years from now and that kind of thing. It also does list the biggest players in that space. And then you can see, okay, if I want to compete here, this is who's doing it. You can do a little more in-depth research on them.
Are these once again places you can go without being through the library or?
So these are through the library. And so except for company websites at the bottom, these are all, and I've outlined which libraries have each tool. So KPL is Kirkwood Public Library, and we have those top two tools. And then there's a tool called Reference Solutions, which is where you can pull lists of people in an area. You can actually throw your competitors on a heat map and see where they are. So if you were looking to open a new location, you could go in there and see what competitors are in a location, throw them on a heat map and say, wow, there's 14 competitors within 5 miles, maybe not a great location. And so St. Louis Public, St. Louis County, and St. Charles all have that tool. Business Insight, yeah.
So is it something you need to come into the library and you access here, or is it through your website, and if you're a member, then you can access?
Yeah, so awesome questions. I'm excited. So all of these are available through our websites, and you'll want to access them through our websites, because if you go directly to Statista or directly to Reference Solutions, they'll be like, we would like to charge you for this information, but it's all free with your library card. So you go to St. Louis Public or St. Louis County, and let's kind of go over that.
Can I ask a silly question while you're pulling that up? So for something like Reference Solutions, if you're looking for competitive analysis, you need to know who your competitors are. They can't just tell you. You can't put like a general search in there,
Of
correct?
course you can.
Oh, okay.
So for example, what industry?
I am a speaker, so that's not necessarily the most helpful thing.
Yeah, I'd have to try it. So there might be things in there like speakers bureaus, but probably not individual speakers.
Right, yeah.
I have to think about that
And
one.
then geographic search.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or either a radius or a zip code.
Yeah.
It used to be called Reference USA,
mhm,
which
did.
some people may remember it by that.
okay, yeah. But so I'll show you in a second. So I'm gonna talk about library websites for just a half second. We are notoriously terrible at hiding information from you on our websites that you can't find it. So some good tips, and every library uses different terminology. So for example, Kirkwood Public Library, we call our stuff online resources. And then you can go to research, or you can just click on online resources and then say, okay, research resources is probably what I'm looking for. And then you can find Statista, legal GPS. You can see what resources we have for businesses. St. Louis Public Library calls theirs digital content. So you can go to digital content, and then from here, I always go to A to Z resources and then look for the name of the thing that I'm searching for. So if that were Reference Solutions, I would click on R. And then St. Louis County Library, they just call it research. So you can click on research, and then they also kind of have categories like we do, where if you are a business owner, you can click on the business owner and see all the different resources that they have. So now that you know how to find things, this is what would happen. So I would click on reference solutions, and then it would ask me to log in with my library card. Because I am not on site at the library. You can go on site to the library and it'll just automatically connect.
Do you have to live in the area to have the library card, or is there a certain radius, or?
So we have reciprocal, so like St. Louis Public, St. Louis County, St. Charles, Jefferson County, and the municipal we all have reciprocal agreements with each other. If you are on the Illinois side, you can pay to get a library card with any library really. And in that case, I usually recommend St. Louis, if you're gonna pay for a library card, I usually recommend St. Louis County Library, just because they have the most resources. And then like make a friend with someone who can get a public card or who works at a library, can pull some information for you. Yeah.
So when you mentioned Jefferson County, that doesn't include the Festus branch, does it? That you're reciprocal with.
I don't know what
They're
branches,
not part of the Jefferson County
they're
Library.
not, if they're separate, then no, it wouldn't, yeah. If they're like part of us, like we're municipal, we don't have an agreement with them, we have an agreement with.
Where would the Jefferson County Library be located?
I think it's-
I guess we need to look that up.
So it's Arnold,
Windsor branch.
okay, yeah, yeah, so it's out
How
that
far
way.
of a radius will you let somebody be a member from here? Like, do you have a certain amount of radius?
It's not a radius, so if you live in Kirkwood, you are like a Kirkwood proper card member, and then we have reciprocal agreements with everyone else, so if you live in St. Louis County, you can get a card.
So do you have to have a St. Louis County card to get a card? You could just live in St. So I could like go to your desk and get a card right now.
Yep,
Okay.
yeah,
Like, oh, credit card is-
yeah, you don't, for sure, you don't have to have, a library card with one of the other branches. Because there are people who live closest to Kirkwood, but technically live in the county. And so this is their branch and this is where they come, but they're technically not a Kirkwood card holder, they're a county card. Or there are Webster Groves people who live closest to here and they have to get a Webster Groves card because that's their home library, but then they always come here and check out with their Webster card.
So you mentioned that you could purchase a library membership?
Yeah, like if you're in Illinois, a lot of the libraries will allow you to purchase.
Do you
a
know about,
membership.
is it under 100?
Yeah, I think it's $50
Okay.
for a St. Louis County library
Is
card.
that an ongoing or an annual?
It's annual. I
Okay.
think it's either annual or every 2 years.
Okay.
I can't remember which. Yeah,
Thank you.
it might be annual. Yeah, okay. So this is what reference solutions looks like. And so for example, if I were going to pull a list of businesses, this is kind of what it looks like. So you can know a company name and pull it in your quick search, or you can go do an advanced search, and then this is where you can look up a keyword. And then you can pull an area. So you can do a radius if you want to see a radius of the area that you're searching for your competition. You can just say, I want to see everybody who's in the St. Louis metro area. You can do zip codes, you can do states if you're, and this is national data. So if you are looking to open a business in another state, you can come in here and see what competition exists in other states, in other metro areas, that kind of thing.
At the bottom, it includes phone numbers. Does it all include email addresses?
It does not. So
Okay.
we don't have any tools that outline email addresses. The only tool I have that shows email addresses is our nonprofit grant seeking tool. And that's just because it's usually in the contact information for if you have questions.
Sure.
About applying for this grant. Everything else only includes phone numbers. And when we get to the consumer side, it will also include phone numbers for consumers, but those are not scrubbed for the do not call list. So these resources have dual functionality. So people use them as like white pages. And our consumer tools are powered by super pages. And so they aren't scrubbed for the do not call list, because if I am just looking for my long lost cousin and I want their phone number to reach out to them to let them know that there's a family reunion, I can do that in these tools. But as a business, you'll want to make sure, I know there are some insurance companies and real estate companies that are like, yeah, don't worry about it. I just throw all that into my little magic tool and it scrubs it for me. Okay. But if you are a regular business who doesn't have access to the scrubbing tool, then you probably won't want to use the consumer phone numbers. Now, a business is free reign, right? Because your business is just listed.
Can I give a warning though for
Yeah.
reference solutions? I would be careful and make for sure that you're looking at the business owner information that is listed there, that some people have passed away, or you're going in asking the business for the owner that has passed away 2 years ago and it hasn't been updated, and then you look kind of silly. So just be careful with that. I have done that. And it was embarrassing.
So, and that is a good point. And one of the things that you can see in here is when it was last updated. So like July of 2022. So that's a little under a year ago. So just know that there is some room for error because a lot of things can change in 9 months. People may no longer be there. Sometimes it's good to just do a little Google search in addition to this, and just make sure that maybe that person is still there. But this is the list it's going to pull. It's going to show you all the different companies. I did metro area. And then you can pull a heat map. You can do different summaries. But it'll show you where are the beauty spots. And then as you zoom in and get closer to an area, it'll actually break it out into little points and show you the individual businesses. Sorkins is a tool that's available at St. Louis Public Library. It's not one I use very often. It's only regional. It doesn't have national data. So I think it's only like Missouri and Kansas. And it may only be like St. Louis, Kansas City. It may not even be all encompassing of Missouri, but it is another resource that's available. And I always tell people to pull lists from multiple places because you'll be able to compare. Okay, this list pulled 50 businesses in the area and this one pulled 23, and where do they overlap and what does that mean? Are some of these closed? And it's a great way to put kind of a super list together if you pull from more than one place. All right, marketing data. So there are a couple ways to do your pull your marketing data. There's simple marketing data. So Demographics now has pre-built marketing profiles, and also Claritas, which is just freely available on the internet. They both have pre-built marketing profiles where you can type in an area, so like a zip code or a city, and you can see who lives there broken down by their marketing profiles. So if you were trying to go into a new market, you can kind of get an overall look at who lives there. If you want to do in-depth demographics, so layering of data, like I want to know how insurance customers feel about banking or marketing or social media, that kind of thing, then you're gonna want to go into your Statista, has a tool called the Consumer Insights. Demographics now, you can do some layering, and even Reference Solutions allows you to kind of pull some consumer data. So this is the baseline. So this is Claritas. You can do a zip code lookup in here. And it's gonna show you, it's gonna pull these marketing profiles. And it's gonna show you where else, you know, where where do they live? What is their income makeup, their household composition, how many people live there, the population by age, the population by race and ethnicity. And then you can click on any of those and say, okay, but what does that mean? What does it mean that they are movers and shakers? Well, it means that they're mostly older, wealthy without children. And it'll give you a little breakdown of who they are, where they live, how many households exist in the United States. And my favorite part, it gives you lifestyle and media traits. So they own a BMW. They use, yep, thanks.
But yeah. So it feels personas. It's completely for, yep.
For an area.
So I don't have to like just, because the thing I get stuck on is the lifestyle and media stuff at the end. Like, I know who I want, who I serve and like the people that I help, but I don't necessarily like attend European soccer games.
Right.
I don't, just online. But
Yeah, so this is accessible and is just out there. And then libraries, like.
Wait, so go back to that. So
Oh,
you
yeah.
clicked, you did 3122.
I did.
And you clicked on the movers and shakers. And so that's showing you where movers and shakers are all over the.
All over the
Can
country.
you drill into just like our area and see where each particular?
I think it will show it by county. If
Okay.
I'm- Yeah, so
so
it's
there's no
just gonna
movers and shakers in
show.
the city.
We don't. No, it's not, but so to your point, there may be, but maybe it's a small percent.
Sure.
And so it's not worth putting it in there. So this, again, this is just a baseline. Demographics Now has something similar that I'll show you. And that one you can drill down to a census tract
Oh.
and see even there. So. Demographics Now looks like this. And Demographics Now it's a little slower than some of the other databases because it has so much data in it. So it and especially when I'm connected to Zoom, it even slows it down a little more. So please accept my apologies. But you can select your geography, and this is where you can see like congressional districts, school districts, zip codes. Places is basically cities. So this is where you can pull like your Kirkwood or your Webster Groves or whatever kind of smaller area. And you can look at metro areas. So. And you can compare. So you could compare side by side St. Louis and Kansas City if you were trying to figure out which one would be better. But we can go in here. And it's going to map out the metro area because that's what I chose. And well, actually, let's start over here. So in here, I can say for the St. Louis metro area, or is there a smaller area you want to look at? Anybody want to look at a smaller area? And they have these things called mosaic. So this is the mosaic report. And the mosaic is those pre-built marketing profiles. And so it's going to go in here and it's going to show me the percentage of each of those profiles that lives in the area. So this is looking at the whole metro area. So their percentages are going to be a little smaller and more broken out. Where if you looked at a smaller area, it's going to have bigger chunks of higher percentage people. So we can say, okay, in the metro area, there's 6% sophisticated city dwellers. What does that mean?
You know, I saw that.
And this is where things get interesting. So not only is it telling you like what their age is normally, what type of property and their income, and if they have children, they're 0 to 3, but only 0.3% of them have children that are in that age range. But it's also telling you their channel preference. And that is basically how they like to be marketed to. What those numbers are underneath is an index number. 100 is the average. If you are over 100, yay, thumbs up, good. They're using that media channel. If it's under 100, they do not like that media channel and they're not using it.
So they're not using radio. But they are, is that right? I'm guessing that's what they're
Yes.
doing.
Yep, radio podcast, yeah, is all gonna fall under
Is
the
one
same thing.
port, is that like snail mail?
It is direct mail.
Yeah.
So this is your crew that still likes direct mail.
Is the thumbs up social?
It is. So social media, they really like. They also really like email. They do not want you to text them to market to them. They do not want you on the radio and they aren't watching you on TV. They don't care. But if you direct mail to them or you email them or you're on social media engaging with them, that's what they like. It also kind of gives you, like the other one did, these key features, who they are. And then on the second page, it kind of breaks out where they fall with the different structures. The third page is always, hey, I forgot what Mel said about those numbers. So the third page is always explaining index below 100, index above 100, yay. And then the fourth page is a complete write-up of who they are. What are they engaging with? What do they eat? They like to go to fitness clubs and do non-aerobic sports. So you really get into the mindset of who they are. Great.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I was thinking, so could you use this to almost reverse engineer? So something like women who are director level above in organizations that have 50 people or more, or something like that.
That would be awesome.
So, so yes and no. So one of the things they have here is under the help, you can actually
Okay.
go and look at all of the different
Okay.
breakdowns. And so often what I tell people is like, if you aren't sure who you're looking for, kind of just read through these and see what looks like what you're matching with as far as what persona you're looking for. And then you can come in here.
Are there filters once you get
Yep.
to it?
So you can come in here and then you can look at where those people are, if you wanted to target them. So then you can say. So then you can come in and you can say, yeah, I was looking for suburban, settled in suburbia.
Yeah.
And what this is gonna do is it's gonna update the map and it's gonna show basically where more people live who are like that. So this tool is really great. Again, it's national data. So if you can actually zoom out and see state by state by state. So if you had an online store or something like that, you could then say, okay, I need to focus on Illinois, Minnesota, and Utah to reach this demographic. But you can also then zoom in on any of those places and say, well, it needs to be Minneapolis, or it needs to be some of these smaller areas. And and focus, and really figure out where you want to focus in there. I will say that I used this tool when I had an ad agency and I won business in New Orleans because I was able to come in here and tell the person exactly like, well, this is what New Orleans is like. And he was like, how do you know that? You're in St. Louis, Missouri. And I was like, because it's what the data says. So yeah, I just know. Yeah, so you can really use this data. It's national data. You're not confined to just St. Louis, but you can use it for.
So if I have, say I've got a couple of customers that I would consider ideal customers and they've got their residence, like their address. Would I be able to use a resource like this to figure out what classification that they're in, so I can go find
Yes.
more of them?
Yes. Great question.
So I think have that data as well. You could send, if they're direct marketing, you have addresses to send direct mail? Does it pull that kind of data for you?
Yeah, so we'll go over that in a minute.
Okay.
So, but to your point, there is a tool in here called customer analysis. And you can upload, so I usually, before I upload something in here, I scrub it for like any personal information I have, and I just upload the addresses.
Yeah.
And then I throw them in here, and then it,
Uploaded.
oh yeah, you can put them on it. So if you,
You have a CSV file, you can just.
yep, if you have like any HubSpot or Square, if you're keeping customer data in any way, you can download that into an Excel or CSV or whatever. You can upload it into here, and then it'll spit back to you your customer segmentations, profiles.
Happy with me.
Just tell them this.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is that like, I'm showing this to, you know, a lot of businesses who want to do it themselves, right? But when you do want an expert, like, then you
Well,
hire
it's
your
nice
ad
to
agency.
know, I mean,
Yeah,
whether
it
you're
is.
using an expert or doing it yourself, it's nice to know what.
Yes,
are.
yes,
Possible.
1000%. Coming from an ad agency, I'm not saying like, don't use ad agency. I'm just saying, you can make yourself smarter.
Did you also use the data? I don't remember, because Facebook has changed so many rules with their ads, but you could, because you can target by zip code in a Facebook ad,
Yes.
and if you find this, then you can use that.
Yes,
in a
so
Facebook ad.
So often, so yes, because Facebook has changed the way that they really are, yeah, the way that they do things, that is very often what I use these tools for.
Okay.
Is like, hey, okay, you know, the people that you want to target are in these areas. Now you can go to Facebook, you can go to Google, YouTube, whatever, and say, I already know I want to target these areas. And I don't have to use only Facebook data or only Google data. I can look at,
And you could probably layer them.
Yeah.
As well, because usually, I mean, I've never had zip codes, it's just like all of English speaking,
right.
you know, North America. So.
Okay, wait, so we did that, and then,
Okay, wait, I got it right.
This is that on the slideshow?
yes.
Okay. I'm writing that down.
And then Statista, so Kirkwood is one of the only libraries, is the only library in the area that has access to consumer insights on Statista. So St. Louis County Library has access to Statista, but this is something extra that we paid for because we thought it was important to have access to. And I think county is looking at adding it. You'll find that all the librarians are connected and we talk to each other all the time. And so we'll be like, hey, this is really cool, or this is real, don't buy this. Like, once our contract expires in a year, we're not gonna re-up it because it's terrible. We talk a lot. So this is Statista, and you can create target groups. So you can see I've got some pre-built ones in here. And let's just say I wanted to target people who are working from home. I can then come in and I can look at demographics, right? So I can find out who they are. Everything about them, right? I can just click through and I can learn things about who are the people that are working from home. But then I can come down and I can say, well, what are their hobbies and interests?
And you built this on the left as far as like what you want to see.
Right, and so you add things in, you can clear them out. You can, once you get it and you're like, I don't care about that, you can delete it. But you can also see how are people from home being marketed to? And so you can see, you know, what are they?
Interesting, that TV is so fun, but I heard.
Is it?
I think it's really interesting, yeah.
I mean, I have a little TV on when I'm working from home. I'm like, I
can
need
relate
something
to
in the
this.
background, like, I just need something in the background to make noise. But yeah, so you can see.
You turn the TV on and you turn Netflix on.
So, I mean, right, that's up here.
Because that's a, it's different,
Digital-
that's what was surprising to me.
But
that it
it's
was
75%
Yeah.
is digital video, yeah. But yes, TV, broadcast, cable, satellite, yeah. See, I'm a cord cutter, so I don't have cable
Sure.
anymore. That's fine. It went away. But like,
That's what it's called,
If
you're a cord cutter?
cord cutter, yeah. So I'm not bound by cords.
That's awesome. I love that.
You are bound by internet.
Yeah.
So I actually don't even I have T-Mobile 5G and it's just like, it's basically like a Wi-Fi hotspot.
Uh-huh.
And so it just like sits there.
No,
And
words.
then
No cord.
it just gives me internet. I don't know how it works. It's just magic.
In my house, we went backwards and had them install 2 Ethernet things. So
Oh
yeah,
my
I'm taking so many online
Yeah.
presentations and work.
Yeah.
So I needed something. a little more.
So I have a Google Mesh system.
Yeah.
That does everything.
Also does that.
Yeah.
So now everything you're going over, like, first of all, is amazing and overwhelming, and like
Yes.
such a cool thing to have at our
Yes.
fingertips. If someone leaves here or has been online watching and goes, oh, now I don't remember things she
Yep.
said.
Mhm.
Can they call you?
Yes.
Can they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I do one-on-one appointments. So I'm showing you an overview of things you can find. I highly recommend using a librarian's skills. So if it's not me, if county is closer for you, Angela at county is really awesome. Eleanor down in the city is really awesome. But of course you can always come to me, but we'll sit down and we'll go over which tools make the most sense for your business and which data makes the most sense. And how do we find the data that you in particular are searching for? Because specifically, demographics.
Hey, Laura, you got a little testimonial.
But specifically demographics now is very confusing and there is a lot of data in there and they hide things in places where you're like, why is that in that report? That doesn't make sense. And my favorite example of this is that like what sports people are going to is under the cable TV report. And I'm like, why would I know that was there? Unless you spend hours a day in the tool and then you're like, oh, that's where that is. So yes, definitely get help. Don't struggle on your own. Like reach out, we'll sit down and we'll go over it and we can pull it.
I know we're getting close on time, just for maybe the people online and whatever, if anybody needs here, but. I think one of the big things a lot of people were interested in was money.
Sure.
So I don't know if you have time to.
Yeah, let's do it. So finding potential partners or funders or grants. So the biggest one we have is a grant seeking tool. So that is called Candid. They're rebranding. It used to be called Foundation Directory. So it's still kind of called Foundation Directory, but they're moving toward Candid. And it is one of the only resources that is only accessible in a library. So this is one where you can't just be at home or in Arizona or wherever and pull up the data. You do have to go to a library, and the libraries that have it are Kirkwood. St. Louis County has it at some of their regional branches, and then St. Louis Public only has it at their downtown location. And so you can go into any of those libraries, and different libraries have different rules. Like I think ours, you can access on the Wi-Fi. And then in St. Louis Public, you have to use their computers to pull it up. But I will show you how to use that very quickly. There's also Missouri SourceLink, which is a resource that it's Missouri wide. They have something called a resource navigator, and I always like to point this out because you can look up area of assistance and put financial resources and filter it, and it'll show you everyone in Missouri who is giving that kind of assistance. So it'll show you capital partners, it'll show you different banks, it'll even show you different grant funders. So
And those are all people in Missouri that are getting money.
yep, or financial assistance of some type. Yeah, so you can find different grantors, different capital management companies. So this is a great tool that is highly underutilized. So I really love Missouri SourceLink just a lot. I think they do really good work, and their resource navigator is really awesome.
So if a business is just wanting to add, say, equipment or or adding, if they would need monies to add more employees or monies for training employees, all those kinds of things, you can come in and.
And
Right.
look here, yeah.
share resources.
The other place to go, the SBA has something called Lender Match. So if you have never looked at the SBA lender match, it's pretty cool. So if you are looking for a loan for things like capital improvements or things like that, the SBA has created this website where you can find lenders. And basically what it does is you fill out like a little questionnaire and it matches you with people who are doing that thing. So if you only need a small amount of money, it's not going to give you a bank that only loans to people who, 25K plus or whatever. They're going to match you with people that can help you for what you are looking for. And then for Candid. Now, Candid for Foundation Directory is aimed mainly at nonprofits. So this isn't really going to help small businesses who need money, but it is going to help nonprofits. Candid also has grants to individuals. And that you may be able to find more things for small businesses. But it's also really good for scholarships and things like that. So if you know someone who, if you yourself are going back to college, or if you know someone who is going back to college, this is a great place to look for scholarships. In the regular Candid for nonprofits, this is where you can kind of type in what you're looking for. So do you want to edit it today? You write it out kind of like a sentence in your first search. And then you can see who is giving grants to that cause, how many grants, so you can see who's giving it. And you can see who else has received them. And that's important because if you are a nonprofit, then you can see, okay, I know O'Fallon Early Childhood Center. Maybe I want to click on their name and see who else has given money to them and see who else I might be able to get money from as well. But yeah, this is a really great way to find money. It'll tell you where they're giving, the size of the grants, which makes it really important because if you were looking for $100,000 grant, you wouldn't want to apply to this grant because this grant company is only giving less than 10K. So it really helps you narrow down who you are going to apply for. You can also use reference solutions to find potential partners and potential funders. So you can go into reference solutions in the same way we pulled your competitors. You can pull a list of large companies. You can pull venture capitalists and pull a list of venture capitalists that way. Yeah, there are a lot of different ways to use the different tools. And then, so that's legal GPS. This is going over brushing up on your skills. So these are a list of all the different things that you can use. Linda is now LinkedIn Learning. So if you are paying for LinkedIn Premium just to have LinkedIn Learning, you should stop because you can get that for free with a county or city library card. Hallelujah. LinkedIn Learning. And then, of course, we have access to magazines and newspapers and ways for you to keep up to date on business in the area. So St. Louis Post-Dispatch, we have digital, and we have just regular newspapers. And then all these magazines we have, those are available digitally. And I love to flip through them on my little tablet and look through them that way and just stock a whole bunch up and take magazines with me when I go on vacation. But that is a way you can access a lot of those.
So if I have a membership, I can go in online and get to look at Entrepreneur.
Yep.
And you don't have to be in the library.
Nope.
No, yeah.
Nope. And you can download them too. And I think they like stay with you for quite a while.
Usually like 30 days at least.
Yeah. So if you, are going on vacation and you aren't sure if you're going to have internet access, like you go into a cabin, you can download them and they'll be accessible on your tablet even without internet. We also have really awesome items that you can check out with your library card. For example, this past weekend, I checked out some fishing poles and binoculars and I went fishing. But for your business, we have a pop-up tent. So you get in a crunch and you're like, I'm going out to this event and I don't have a tent and it's a really sunny day. swing on by, see if our pop-up tent is available, or look it up online and see if you can check it out. You can check that out with your library card. We have a scanner. Yes.
County library. So fun.
We have scanner and printer here, so come tax season, if you're like, oh, I don't have time to like scan all this stuff in, like, we have a really cool scanner that you can just take home with you, scan all your receipts in and be done with it.
And it doesn't cost them?
No, it doesn't cost you anything. Just check it out with your library card.
That's
We also have a projector and screen, so if you're going off-site and you need to be able to do projector and a screen, you can do that. People often, summer, it gets busy because people use it for backyard movies. But yeah, and then a Blu-ray player, and a lot of these are partnerships too, so like the fishing poles is with the Missouri Department of Conservation, they want people to get out and do things. The telescopes are with the St. Louis Astronomical Society. So sometimes we do cool partnerships in the area and get cool things. Yeah.
Physical RVs or.
That's on the list. I'm putting it all here.
So how about the hotspots? How would you access them?
So hotspots tend to be, there usually tends to be a wait list. And also hot tip, which I didn't think about, is that I was like, I'm going to the country, we're not gonna have Wi-Fi, I'm gonna get a hotspot. I got on the waiting list and it arrived just in time. And then I got to the middle of nowhere and it also couldn't connect to anything out there. So it's great if you're in an area that is like wide open and you're gonna have satellite.
Rural and access is an issue.
Indeed. So it's great, like beach vacations, or you're driving in a car and the kids want in the back seat connection or whatever. But yeah, so there tends to be a little bit of a wait list. So I usually say plan ahead if you're gonna want a hotspot. And just kind of see like what the wait list is looking like. But yes,
I'm very
we
impressed.
have quite a few.
All the people who know this don't tell you this. Yeah, there are people,
I didn't know
there
about
are people with pop-up tents and projectors in their backyard. No.
Yeah, because they don't want there to be a wait list next time that they want to do a backyard movie night.
There's some cords upstairs too, that you can check out.
Cords.
Yeah, like the right adapter.
Yes, the right adapter cords. Oh, there's all kinds of stuff that we have for checkout, like the binoculars too. That was really fun. I had never used binoculars before. And I was like, oh gosh.
I just want to watch that. I love binoculars, just see, think somebody hasn't used them before. That's just entertaining.
I didn't know what to do. I was like, oh gosh, I can see forever. Oh, this is why people like in movies spy on people. So this is my contact information if you are interested. I also put some upcoming business-y programs that are happening at libraries around the St. Louis area. Legal hours for entrepreneurs. So that's really cool. It's something libraries often do with Legal Services of Eastern Missouri, and you can get 30 minutes one-on-one with a lawyer to ask questions about your business. So St. Louis County is having it on the 9th. We do them once a quarter here. They'll be back in July, I think it is, or June. They'll be back here. We just did them in March. And then we have identify and focus on the right customers, and that's Colleen from the SBDC will be here on the 10th.
Awesome. Thank you. Wonderful. That's so informative. I can't wait to share the slides with everybody, the YouTube. So you'll send me that and I can link it to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I just left these little sheets on the back table. So using the library for business for beginners. So it's basically a breakdown of this whole presentation and the different resources that are available to you. Also, summer reading is not just for children. We do adult summer reading here and we have very cool prizes. We usually set up like 9 different baskets depending on how much you read or participate, you can get raffle tickets and then put it in whatever basket that you want to win. And then the grand prize this year is going to be a Polaroid camera. Well, sorry, it's like an off-brand Polaroid for a library. But yeah, and then our finishing prize this year is a scoop of ice cream from Clementine's, which they have a location right over here. For that, and then we also do one big author event per year here. Morgan Talty is coming. He wrote a book of short stories called Night of the Living Rez. He'll be here in October at the Kirkwood Performing Arts Center. It's totally free. So highly recommend if you want to check out the Kirkwood Performing Arts Center and haven't had a chance. He is really great.
Again, many thanks. Mel.